It all starts in the train station, taking a bullet train on the way to Hiroshima. I anticipated this journey not just for the fact that I have never been to Hiroshima, but just knowing that it's a place that took the brunt of an atomic explosion. Always wanted to get on the bullet train as well, so it was pretty exciting for me to finally take one of these things. Actually quite comfortable. Yeah, I recommend it as a way of travel in Japan. Sitting there and watching the scenery roll by, going through suburban areas outside the cities, rolling countryside, rice fields, drifting in and out of sleep. Ever since I was a kid, I was in love with Japanese culture. I studied martial arts as a child, even before I ever got into music. Always admired the samurai and all those big epic movies, fighting for honor. So sitting there watching scenery go by and just finally being in Japan is incredible. Checked into the hotel and made my way up to the mountains, to the Mitaki-dera temple. Always envisioned going to this peaceful mountainside temple. And there actually was one in Hiroshima. It was quite breathtaking. What was amazing about it too is it was fairly rainy that day, so there weren't many people out. Just being up in the mountains, it was just quiet and the sound of birds and waterfalls and the drizzle of rain. Being amongst all these shrines. The temple was founded in the 8th century according to the Japanese calendar, so this place is old, and you could feel it as you walked around the grounds. There were 3 waterfalls that all came down around the temple, and they had these catch basins, these pools, with cups that you could use to bless all the shrines in memory of the victims of the bombing of Hiroshima. So I made my way out of the temple and knew that I had to go pay my respects, to go to the Hiroshima Peace Memorial. I got into the museum and immediately the images struck me, showing photos of the burn victims, showing photos of explosions, remnants of buildings. It was pretty heavy seeing these images and thinking that we're capable of doing this to each other as human beings. And for what? What's the cause of war? What's behind and underneath all of it? I felt a sense of sadness wash over me. I actually got pretty emotional. And as I sat there looking at this picture of the victims, this little girl just came up and started dancing and singing around the monument. It's just one of those moments that you can't make it up. She was just happy. It really was a contrast to all the images and the feeling that I had inside me. I understand that we wage wars and that's the way of the world. I don't think we'll ever stop warring. There's always hatred. There's always greed. And the lust for power seems inherent in human beings. Don't get me wrong, I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist. I had just about enough of the museum, so I made my way out. I wanted to see the building that survived the explosion. It was great too because the sun was shining. When I had gotten there in the morning, it was raining. And now the birds were out. People were out picnicking by the river. It was a nice way to end it off. On my way out too, I passed by another temple, a shrine. So I had to stop in there, of course, and just observe. Then I wandered around Hiroshima just a little bit. Again, I've said it before in other videos, there's something amazing to me. Just people watching, seeing what people do in their everyday lives, seeing how people interact. I made my way north in the city to the castle, the Hiroshima Castle. It was great walking through this building. Very clean, very precise, very simple. And again, to me, that's what's so beautiful about Japanese architecture and Japanese art. I just happened to be there when there was a wedding party, taking photographs by the palace tower, dressed in traditional clothes. People stopping to watch. I climbed up to the top of the tower and surveyed the land around me. I love how the mountains are just looming in the distance. And if you looked at a map, this palace was the center of the whole city. It's really great the way that these cities are laid out. They're so ancient, yet so modern at the same time. I dipped in and out of some of the outdoor malls. Got back to my room just to watch the sun go down. And then we went to a Japanese pancake house. This food was amazing. Of course, Adam D being Adam D. We went out with our crew. We had a great crew with us on this Japanese tour. People who really took care of us, took us out to eat, showed us around, were interpreters for us. There's a little bit of garlic food porn for you. I had been abstaining from drinking on this tour, and we had a really good show, so I decided to have some sake and get some food and party a little bit. It was nice to let off some steam and just hang out with some really good people and eat some really good food. These guys were masters. What's great about chefs over in Japan is these guys do this for a living. This is their lives. They start when they're young, and they do it till they retire and in old age. This is pictures of flying into Tokyo, driving into the city. I've been to Tokyo once before, but it was very brief. So it was great to know that we were going to have a show here, stay in the local hotel. As you can see, there's the famous walkways that you've seen before in movies and documentaries. That doesn't even give it justice. During rush hour, it's 10 times that amount of people. I live just outside New York City, so there's definitely similarities. But Tokyo is an animal all on its own.